highly intense. Then the fourth property is that highly coherent. So these are the four characteristics of a laser which makes it different from the ordinary source of light. For example, if you are taking highly directional, that means the laser is having a high degree of directionality. It means that you take the case of this light we are getting that is being diverged, or we can say that it is being spread out. But in the case of a laser, it is highly directional. Right from this one, this pointer, we can see if I operate this one, you can see that this is highly pointed. That means the light is not being diverged. So that is first property of a laser. It is highly directional compared to a usual source. Then the second property is that it is highly monochromatic. Mono means one. You know that mono means one, and chromatic means chroma means color. So single color. Single color means, take the case of light from this source. You can see that this white light coming from the system, right? White light consists of how many colors? Abhijit, can you say? What is that spectrum? Yes, it is VIBGYOR. Excellent. VIBGYOR means violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange. All those colors or all those wavelengths are coming in usual source of light. Whereas for a laser, we will have highly monochromatic source, means only single wavelength is coming from a laser. The third important property is that the laser is highly intense. The intensity of a laser is very much compared to the ordinary source. And the last property is highly coherent. Coherent, you know that it is producing waves like this, the same waves of same amplitude, wavelength and phase. So these are the properties of a laser which make it different from the ordinary source of light. So after this, we will pass on to the basic principles of laser action, for which you should be familiar with what is known as the Bohr atom model. So Bohr atom model I am not explaining. Anyway, you take a case in which I have a system consisting of two energy levels. I have a lower energy level E1 and a higher energy level E2. So usually the atoms will be sitting in the lower energy level. See, I am drawing an atom here. One atom is sitting in the lower energy level, and if it wants to go to the higher energy level, what we have to do is, if you want to make the atom to go to the higher energy level, what you have to give is, we have to supply energy. In this case, I have to supply a photon of energy. E is equal to h nu is equal to E2 minus E1. So what will happen? The atom will readily absorb the energy and it will go to the higher energy stage. This process is what is known as absorption. So absorption is a process by which the atom in the lower energy state, it will absorb energy and it will go to the higher energy state. So what will be the next step? The higher energy state is always unstable, and so what is happening is that the atom which is excited to the higher energy state, it will find the higher energy state unstable, and so it will soon return to the ground state. So this is the second step. The atom which is excited to the higher energy state will return to the ground state. So what will happen during this process? Now it is in the higher energy state, and when it is transmitted to the lower energy state, it will clearly send out energy in the form of a photon of energy E is equal to h nu, and that will be given by E2 minus E1. Why? Because it is traveling from a higher energy state to lower energy state. So this process is known as spontaneous emission. So after absorption, this is the first thing that is happening. The atom is finding the higher energy state unstable, so it will return to the lower energy state with the emission of a photon. And another mechanism it can happen like this. Suppose the same thing. After absorption, I have one atom in the higher energy level. I can use a photon to stimulate this atom. So what I am doing is, I am using a photon. The same photon I can use to stimulate this atom. So what happens in this process is that when I am stimulating the atom will be stimulated to make a transition to the lower energy state. So what is happening here is that this photon is not being absorbed. Why I am saying like this? This photon is not being absorbed. If this was absorbed, this atom could have gone to a higher energy state. So that is not happening here. The photon is simply stimulating this atom to make a transition to the lower energy state. So what will happen here? This photon is not lost. It is not going anywhere. It is still there. And we know that when one atom moves from higher energy level to a lower energy level, we will have one photon coming out. So I will have one photon coming out because of the transition of this atom from higher energy level to lower energy. Because the excess of the energy has to be emitted. Then where is this photon? It is still there. So when I am drawing like this, I have to draw this photon also. So what will happen? Initially I will have one photon, now I have two photons. What will be the next step? These photons are traveling and they will meet two atoms sitting here, right? There are two atoms sitting here and they meet two atoms sitting in the energy. What may happen? These two photons can de-excite these two atoms also. That means these photons will stimulate these atoms also to go to the ground state. So what will happen? This photon will stimulate this atom to go to the ground state. This photon will stimulate this atom to go to the ground state. So what will happen? For each atom moving from a higher energy level to a lower energy level, we will have one photon of energy E, which is equal to the difference between higher energy level and lower energy. So I can draw like this. I am getting two photons because of the transition of these two atoms from higher to lower energy level. And where are these photons? These photons are still there. So how many photons? 4 photons. So if I number, I can number like this. I am using the first photon here, 1, number 1 photon. The same photon is appearing here, 1, right? Where is 2 coming from? 2 is coming from this transition, right? Then 1, 2. If I mark these photons, I can write the first photon, second photon which is coming from here. Where is the third one and fourth one coming from? The third and fourth is coming from these transitions. That is number 3 and number 4. These photons are also traveling like this. What will be the next step? Can you say what will be the next step? 4 photons are traveling and they will meet. Because there are a lot of atoms sitting in the higher energy, right? So there are 4 atoms here, suppose. So what will be essentially the next step? These 4 photons, when they are going, they will stimulate these 4 atoms again to go to the ground state. Now the process is like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. What will be the next step? The same 4 photons will appear. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4. How many photons more? 4 more. So at the final step, I have brought here, I have 8 photons. I started simply with the single photon, right? 1, 2, 4, 8. What will be the next step? 16, 32, 64. Like that, the multiplication of photons is going on. So this process is what is known as stimulated emission. Why is it called stimulated emission? It is because we are allowing a photon to stimulate atoms one by one, right? We are using photons to stimulate these atoms one by one to get the stimulated emission of radiation. And what is essentially happening here? Here what is happening in this process is that we have multiplication of photons, 1 photon, 2 photon, 4 photon, like that the number of multiplication, number of photons is going on increasing. So as the number of photons are getting multiplied, you will have what is known as light amplification. Why? Because photons are the essential constituents of light. When the number of photons are increasing or the number of photons is getting multiplied, you will have light amplified. Why? What is this process? This process is called the stimulated emission of radiation. So this is the basic principle of, or this is the key to the operation of a laser. That is, by stimulating the atoms present in the higher energy state, I am getting multiplication of photons. By the multiplication of photons, I am able to get the light amplification. So this is the basic principle of laser. So what is the essential condition that we have to achieve this action? The essential condition is that we have to have good number of atoms in the higher energy level. So usually what happens is that we will have number of atoms here more number of atoms will be here. So the essential condition is that we have to get an appreciable number of atoms in the higher energy. Then only when the photons are coming, they should meet atoms here. Otherwise this process cannot continue. This process has to continue like this, 16, 32, like that. So this is an essential condition. So now we have covered these portions like this. What is a laser? Introduction to the laser. And the 4 characteristics, like what are they? Directionality, intensity, monochromaticity and coherence. So these are the 4 characteristics of a laser. And then we pass on to the basic principles of laser action. What is absorption? What is the next one? Spontaneous emission. And then this is the stimulated emission, which is the key to the operation of the basic principle of laser action. So the next topic is the construction and working of laser. Construction means there are different parts. For example, if you are taking a particular laser, there are 3 components for the laser, and how it is working. All these are the next topics that I will take in the next class. So I have already given you the list of books for reference. So you please go through those books and prepare for the next class. Okay. Do you have any doubt?
Can you please explain once again the difference between this spontaneous emission and the stimulated emission?
The difference between spontaneous, right from the figure you can see, when I put the figure again. In spontaneous emission, what is happening is that I have 2 energy levels. I have, after the absorption, I have 1 atom in the higher energy level, right? So what happens is that this is only a natural process. The atom returns to the lower energy state just because it is finding that the higher energy state is unstable. The higher energy state is unstable, and hence the atom returns to the lower state with the release of energy, with the release of photon. This process is called a spontaneous emission. There is no effect of any external photon here. You can see no photons are here for making this transition. Whereas in the case of stimulated emission, what is happening is that I am stimulating this atom to go to the ground state with the help of a photon. That is the essential difference between spontaneous emission and stimulated. The process is an artificial one, not natural. Here it is a natural process. Another difference is that suppose an atom is undergoing spontaneous emission, it will give rise to a photon which is traveling in a particular direction. Suppose another atom is undergoing spontaneous emission, like this. I have a second atom which is undergoing spontaneous emission. It can happen like this. It can give rise to a photon which is traveling in a different direction. And suppose we have a third atom in the higher energy level, it can give rise to a photon traveling in some other direction. The photons produced by spontaneous emission, they are traveling in various directions, whereas from this figure you can see that the photons produced by a stimulated emission, they are traveling in the same direction. All these 2 photons, 4 photons, 8 photons, all these photons are traveling in the same direction, and they are traveling in the same direction as that of the first photon, stimulating photon. So this is the essential difference between spontaneous emission and the stimulated emission.